Because it's a purchase of equipment. Yeah. Are you good? You got all the. Yeah, boy.
It's cold in here. It's cold in here. Monday. I think. Okay. Well, just so that you know. If there are any mistakes before I have one from Isabella too. Before, if there are any mistakes before we start meeting with legislators and all that. Hmm.
They don't count because you're me. Yeah, you're building. Finance and audit is first, which it's set to go so that she can share, or it's set to go so that she can share, and I just needs to do.
I told you about the accident. At the annex. At the annex. It was pretty bad. All the sticks and volunteers. Margarita was telling me. I haven't talked to her. I didn't go back. I was there this morning. Is it supposed to be here?
Director, Rusty? We need him, right? Always.
There he is. Checking up on you.
Ready? There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. It is approximately 5:31 p.m. and I call the Laredo College Finance and Audit Committee meeting to order. Proceed with roll call. Jorge Delgado, present. Esteban Rangel, absent. Karina Elizondo, absent. Tita Cantuvela, absent. While we do have the honor and privilege of having our board chairperson, Ms. Lupita Cepeda, present, she will take part in the meeting to proceed. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 3, approval of endowment matching funds as per donor's request. Raymond M. Gutierrez and Melba P. Gutierrez Charitable Trust Endowment Fund. Albert Lowry, trustee. Dr. Diana Ortiz.
Good afternoon, members of the Finance and Audit Committee. Dr. Diana Ortiz, Vice President of Institutional Advancement. I come before you today with the request of the approval of the endowment matching funds per the donor's request for the Raymond Gutierrez and Melba P. Gutierrez Charitable Trust. We are asking the approval of matching funds of $50,000 for the Raymond Gutierrez and Melba P. Gutierrez Charitable Trust. The endowment monies were given to us recently in September in the amount of $50,000. We're asking that Laredo College match the $50,000 to be placed into the endowment, bringing the total endowment so far for this contribution to $100,000 and using $15,000 of that for immediate use for workforce programs. We're very excited about this donation. Dr. Ramirez has worked very closely with the donor as has our departments. And the initial account was set up in September of 2022 with a $50,000 gift by the donor. They followed up that gift with an additional funding of $25,000, and very recently are giving us $50,000, which I'm asking for the match of an additional $50,000, making the amount thus far, it would be the $150,000 plus the additional $85,000 that would be including this match. $15,000 would support the workforce programs immediately. That would not go into the endowment. That would be used for funding for supplies, boots, any type of equipment or supplies that the workforce programs might need for immediate use. This matching fund would be secured through the general restricted scholarship account that we've used in the past, and the account is a restricted non-general accounting fund.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Ortiz. Appreciate it.
The trustee, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Chair recognizes Dr. Ramirez.
The trustee of this endowment is Mr. Albert Lowry, and his contributions have been coming often, and so we want to thank Mr. Lowry for his giving to our workforce programs. He's really dedicated to helping support all of our workforce programs, and wanted for there to be an immediate distribution and then to continue to grow the corpus in our endowment. And therefore, eventually the endowment would start to give out interest enough to have an annual payout. So very nice of him and his wife, Diana, to continue to support the college.
Definitely grateful for his generosity. Thank you for those words, Dr. Ramirez.
Mhm.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ortiz. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, approve the proposed revisions to student incidental fees. Dr. Fred Solis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board President, President Ramirez, colleagues. This particular agenda item seeks to ratify or make changes to student incidental fees. I just want to remind the board that incidental fees do not apply to all students. They're not mandatory fees. These are only charged if a particular service is requested by the student. And so in this particular case, we're looking at changing some fees that are no longer applicable. For instance, we used to charge $10 for adding a course or dropping a course whenever that transaction would occur. Now we actually encourage students to add courses, so we don't want to charge them for that. And then the dropping of a course will be a service that the students can now perform through the new banner system without having to go to the counter or visit with somebody to have that transaction take place, because we're moving away from paper. Additionally, we're no longer printing duplicate tuition receipts. And so it used to be that if a student wanted a copy of their tuition receipt, we would charge them $1 for that copy, printed copy. We no longer do that because it's available to the student electronically and they themselves can request it. or see it or view it in their system with their credentials. The other incidental fee is, or used to be charged for an exam that would assess for English as a second language, or ESL Compass. It's been almost a decade since the last time this test was administered, so this test is no longer necessary whatsoever. So we're proposing to eliminate that fee altogether. In exchange for the elimination of the fees, we are asking for the board's consideration in allowing us to increase the TSIA testing fee from $6 per test to $8 per test. So in the case of the TSIA, for students that are coming in straight out of high school, they would need to test 3 different exams, and which would cost them before $18 rather. And now we're upping that to be at $24. So basically, we're changing the testing fee from $6 to $8.
No,
To $8.
18 to 24.
18 to 24, which is basically going from $6 per test, which were 3 tests before, to $8 per test, which is still 3 tests as before. And then if the student needed to reassess, particularly in the English language arts area, they had to take two exams for that. And so before we would charge them $6 per exam or $12 for the battery of 2 tests. Now we're proposing that to change to $16, which is again going from $6 to $8 per test. And then when a student...
Chair recognizes Dr. Ramirez. And before you continue, Dr. Ramirez, Chair wants to recognize Mr. Esteban Angel as present, and also Judge Mercurio Martinez, even though Mr. Mercurio Martinez and Ms. Lupita Cepeda are not part of the Finance and Audit Committee meeting, they are joining us.
So, board members, just on the TSIA exam, there are waivers available to students, and they get them through typically their high school counselors. However, for those that aren't in high school that need to take this test, the price from the vendor has gone up, and we just never raised the price of the test. And so we don't charge an administration fee technically, we're only charging for the exam. So I just wanted to give
Real
you.
quick, Mr. Rangel brought up a significant point. If that exam is for those that are traditional or in person, or if it's online, or both.
I think,
The exam is taken in our assessment center online. If the student is in high school, they take it on their high school campus. But that's paid for and taken care of by the high school.
So is that part of dual enrollment fees that are
some yes and
charged?
some no.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So for those students that are coming to us that maybe graduated 5, 6, 10 years ago and never took the TSI and need to take it, they can come take it here at the college. For those students that, let's say, took it at the high school twice and failed it and need to take the alternative test here with us, one of 2 things can happen. The high school counselor can give them another waiver if they have any left, or the student can come take it here. If they only need to take 1 exam, then they don't pay all the fees. They only pay for the one that they need to take. So if it's only math, or it's only English, or only reading, then they only pay for the exam they need. If they need all 3, then it would be the $24.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Additionally, right now, when the student requests an electronic transcript, right now, the first one is provided free of charge. But if they would request a second or third, then right now we would be charging them $2 for the additional transcripts. That would be changing to $4, only because the vendor that provides that service charges us $3 for those transcripts. So in essence, we have been subsidizing those transcripts for a while now.
How long is for a while, if you don't mind me asking?
At least 10 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Chair recognizes Ms. Tita Canduvela as present.
So what I want to impress on the board is that we are in essence eliminating $49 worth of incidental fees. And again, incidental fees are those that are charged only to students that request a particular service. These are not mandatory fees. We'll be reducing those incidental fees from $49 to $44.
Any questions from members of the committee?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Solis.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 5, the approval of a Laredo College student alumni fee. Dr. Diana Ortiz.
Good afternoon once again, members of the Finance and Audit Committee. Dr. Diana Ortiz, Vice President of Institutional Advancement. Today I come before you asking the Board of Trustees to approve a $10 one-time alumni fee to be added to the fee structure for first-time students enrolled at Laredo College starting fall of 2025. In the past, we have not had an alumni fee, and we are trying to build a system where we not only can have a fee that supports our programs that we have to start promoting, encouraging alumni to be involved, encouraging them to come back and give back to our community and to give back to the place where they started, many of them, their post-secondary degrees. So we haven't had that in the past, and we're asking that the board consider and approve a $10 one-time fee for students that are enrolled the very first time here at the college. We see a benefit to the student that would be something that goes beyond graduation. The networking opportunities are always amazing, and we want to build that here. But we want to have a system or somewhere that we can refer to where we have a fee that is supporting some of these events. At this time, we have a club, an alumni club. We sell during graduations flowers and gifts, things of that nature. We want to formalize the alumni association and create an alumni, and this fee would help support that. The one-time alumni fee would be deposited into the Laredo College Alumni Fund.
Chair recognizes Mr. Rangel.
Thank you. Dr. Ortiz, is the fee going to be regulated based on whatever the alumni organization has?
Yes, right now, what we don't have a formal alumni yet. We're gonna have to get a board of trustees. We have to have bylaws that are in place. Right now, the only thing we have is the alumni club. We're looking to start this fee to help begin the formalization of the process to get board members and bylaws
And that's great, but like currently right now, whatever monies that they're currently making based on whatever they do throughout the year, we don't have anything formalized.
No,
as
and the money that we're getting really is very limited. We've done 2 graduations, and during our festivals, we sell a few T-shirts. That is being funded and supported by the development monies that we're getting through other events. So we don't have a budget in this.
No way. So this money is gonna get dumped for the fall semester right now into the
Well,
account.
it wouldn't be till 2025.
Okay,
starting-
so
That's when
so
it
do you
starts.
think? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think by then you're gonna have a board and
The-
regulations and everything
The
set in
goal
place?
is to have that because we're trying to reestablish something that's more formal. We don't have that yet, but the goal is to have it by then, to have the bylaws and something. But it's a process that's going to take
I
place.
think this is a great thing. Just I guess whenever you're already pretty much set, maybe you could bring a presentation to the board.
Absolutely.
On first, of course, the board
Yes.
that's gonna be governing that alumni, and then also the rules and procedures and everything that they're gonna be.
And
you know,
just so
in charge
you
of.
know, the organization would be a division of the development office. Most development offices at colleges or universities have an alumni branch to them. So that branch would be supported by this additional group. It would not be, the group it's a division of the development office that is supported by the alumni.
Thank you. Very good.
And this would not preclude any alumni from giving donations to the Alumni
That's right.
Association so that eventually they start to create their traditions and their activities on campus. I know that most of us who attended universities all have alumni associations where we graduated from and we annually give. And so we want to start to formalize that process here. It is not unusual for incoming students to have a one-time alumni fee. Typically, Most colleges and universities will charge $25.
Yes.
That one-time fee at the beginning. And so it can be paid out of their tuition and fees because it is added to their bill. It is not a prorated based on the number of hours. It's just a one-time fee. So,
Chair recognizes Judge Martinez.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to compliment you on initiating this and count on my first $20.
Thank you, we'll take you up on that. And certainly that is the idea. Dr. Ramirez has talked about just growing this area. That is very important because in most cases, the alumni really do support and fund big events and serve as a huge entity that support events that benefit students at the colleges.
Great.
Dr. Ortiz,
Yes.
real quick, so this is the Alumni Association that we've had, maybe using the wrong title for it. Is it the same one that we've had for the past couple of years?
No,
or is this
sir.
entirely new?
No, sir, that alumni was under, I guess, a different
It was a
guise,
50
and
it was a 501c3,
that was
correct?
the account, I believe, was suspended by the state for whatever reason. So I think right now, it was being handled by previous members that are closing it out. So on our end, we just want to start, you
Fresh.
know, yes, we'll start with the
Because the previous one was a 501c3 corporation, correct?
yes, but it was suspended or put on hold, because we did look into that, and since that had happened, Dr. Ramirez and I had a conversation, we just said, we'll just start from
Fresh.
scratch. So right now, we have a club, and we're looking to formalize something as a 501c3, but we do not have that at this time.
Okay, cool. Any other questions from members of the committee?
Good job.
Thank you, Dr. Ortiz. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, approval of updates on lab fees and liability fees. Dr. Maricela Rodriguez Tejirina.
Mr. Delgado, as Dr. Tijerina makes it to the podium, I do want to mention the reason why we're bringing all of this to you all at this meeting is because we're hoping to start our tuition tables, it's tuition and fee tables that we have to start preparing for the next academic year. And we have to finalize what we're going to be able to put into those tuition and fee tables for that next academic year and submit them to the coordinating board for approval before we can start to go live next spring for the following academic year, okay? So that's why we have to do it now.
Okay. No, thank you, Dr. Ramirez. And also, just for the record, as mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, the following members have joined the Finance and Audit Committee meeting, which consists of President Lupita Cepeda and Judge Mercurio Martinez. A quorum is present for today's meeting. The board has posted an agenda in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, ensuring that a quorum is permitted to convene and conduct business during this committee meeting. All yours, Doctor.
Maricela Rodriguez Tijerina, Provost Vice President of Academic Affairs. Good evening. As Dr. Ramirez mentioned, I'm here to present the changes to the curriculum that have been, some have been approved by the LC Curriculum Committee, which are the majority of everything that you see here, outlined as far as adding a course, they're in blue, deleting, they're in red. So I will mention that the new rubrics, and what I mean by rubrics is the new disciplines that are added to the list that have not been in our catalog before, is the Forensic Science Technology program. If you recall, I believe it was February, when I was out on FMLA, they presented to you the Forensic Science Technology program. It has been approved by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. The only thing pending with that is the SAC COC approval. So on page 3 of the whole listing of all the curriculum, you'll see Forensic Science Technology, and we're adding a $24 fee to those particular courses, simply because it does require a lot of supplies. And then we made a mistake under the criminal justice section. We're gonna, and I'll bring a revision for Wednesday's meeting. We're gonna remove the CJLE 1327, and instead of $10, it's gonna be $24 as stated in the Forensic Science Technology listing, as well as the CJSA 1342, we're gonna remove it from the $10 list and add it to the $24 list for the forensic science technology. So I'll bring the revisions on Wednesday, and I apologize for that.
Chair recognizes Mr. Rangel.
Dr. Tijerina, just a real quick question for the record. How do you base yourself on this number, on the $24 fee? And this is just for the public to know.
Absolutely. So THECB, they do have a rule, you cannot go over $24 for any lab fee.
Okay.
And we have our own little unofficial rubric as far as outlining how many supplies are needed for the course and how much expenditures we make in the budget. So when we're using a lot of supplies, like typically in a microbiology, a forensic science, we do push it up to a $24. So it's all, we look at the budget, Mr. Vela. So and how many supplies are used for the class, and also we don't want to overcharge
Of course.
or undercharge our students.
And
So-
just for the record, not all labs go up to $24.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, and that's just for the public to know. Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of listing of $10, but you'll see mainly the 24 with the health sciences, the science, and then in this case of forensic science, which obviously does require a lot of supplies.
Materials. Thank you, Dr. Tijerina.
No, good question. Under the natural sciences, we have the agricultural. It's a new course that we're starting to pilot with our dual enrollment partners. So that concludes pretty much the listing of the lab fees. Then we have student liability insurance fees. These are applicable when we send out our students to the community to either do a clinical or do a practical course, a co-op course. So in this case, the only one that was added was the 2486 for the child development program. That was a new course. And then under new award proposals, on Wednesday, you're gonna be presented with two proposals. We're gonna propose two new baccalaureate degrees. One is the Bachelor of Applied Science in Health, Exercise and Athletic Rehabilitation Therapy. It's gonna be called the Bass Heart. And that is, you'll see on Wednesday, in talking to both school districts, and it's a national crisis, there's a desperate need for athletic trainers. And you're gonna see all the articulations that we're working with a lot of universities, because you need a master's. And so not just the baccalaureate is gonna be the end for them. They're gonna have to continue to get on their master's pathway. So certainly we wanna provide that segue. And then the other degree is going to be the Bachelor of Applied Technology in Data Analytics. And lastly, the Organizational Leadership Certificate. So there's a lot of students, because of our BAS program, BAS-Orgal program, the Organizational Leadership, there's a lot that are asking whether we have a certificate. And with this certificate, I know that Dr. Ramirez, when she came on board, not to put her on the spot, but she wanted us to provide a study abroad program. Well, the certificate is going to provide that opportunity that we'll talk about later on. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for students that have never experienced going out of state, or much less out of the country. So there's a lot of opportunities coming. These new award proposals, I left them in the third tab because next week we're going to have our Laredo College Curriculum Committee to discuss these new proposals. So all I'm asking is that we approve them contingent upon the curriculum internal committee. And I don't foresee any problems, but naturally in the process, we need for them to approve it first, then the board, and then submit it to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and then SAC-COC. And all of this is to prepare us for, like Dr. Ramirez said, for the fall of 2025.
Thinking ahead. Any questions from members of the committee?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Chair recognizes Tita Vela.
Again, the heart, what is, that's for whom?
It could be
That's the acronym.
any track of kinesiology, physical therapy, rehabilitation therapy. So there's a lot of different tracks. For instance, if you look at Texas State University, there's multiple tracks that lay the foundation to either go into PT school or go into athletic training. So let's say even if they decide to change their mind and athletic training is not for them, this
They have
degree
to go
has
into a
several tracks.
Therapy.
Yeah, there's 2 tracks that Dr. Perez will present on Wednesday.
Perfect. Thank you.
But good question.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez de Quirina. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, the September 2024 financial report. Mr. Cesar Vela. This is the longest we've gone without Mr. Vela on the podium.
I know. A long time.
Good evening, Cesar Vela, Vice President of Finance and Administration, for the record. Included with your board packet, you have a copy of the September 2024 financial report. This is the financials for the first month of operations for the 2025 fiscal year. As of September 30th, the revenues collected are $9,417,106. That represents 11.6% of our budget. This point last year, we were at 13.4%, so we're pretty much a little bit, we're a little bit behind, but it's the first month of operation, and we still do not have the second start tuition and fee revenue on this report, so that should put us back on track. As far as the state funds, those do not come in during the month of September, so that's why you see a zero amount for the state appropriation revenue. Also for the tax collections, those don't come in until start coming in October. So again, as far as the overall revenue, we're at 9.4 million for the month of September. At this point last year, we were at 9.6 million. As far as expenses, the expenses for the month of September totaled $6,965,878, or 8.60% of our budgeted expenditures. Pretty much compared to last year we were at 8.32%, and expenses totaled 5.9 million for the month of September of 2023. The only item to note here on expenses is we do show an increase in student expenses, and that totals 539,810 for the year. The reason for this is the Palomino Pledge and the meal plan. Last year we did not have this particular expenditures, and that's why you see that increase in the student expenses. Again, the board approved a $3 million budget for the Palomino Pledge, and so we are showing the expenses for the fall semester for the first start of the fall semester. So it's a total of 539,810. Any questions so far on the expenses or revenues? As far as the other funds for the Global Logistics Center, we have already received the appropriation from the state, and that totaled 141,164, which represents 100% of what we budgeted for the year. The expenses total 9,746, 6.9% of the budget, and those are the expenses for the month of September. So right now we are showing a net change or an increase to the fund balance of 131,418. For auxiliary services, we have a budget of 1.3 million. The revenues for the month of September total 635,892. That's 46.4%. Of our budget, expenses total 109,457 for a net increase so far of 126,435. The only item here to note on the auxiliary services is that we are no longer receiving commissions from the bookstore, being that we have moved the majority of our courses to OER. We do have a bookstore service, but now it's online, and it's minimal. The number of books that are now required to be purchased from the through the bookstore has significantly decreased.
Do you mind if I ask, Mr. Vela, what's I guess, the plan for the bookstore? Or what are we gonna do with that? Because I believe there was a coffee shop in there?
The coffee shop is at the library, and so we're in the process of looking for a provider to continue the operations of the coffee shop.
The bookstore would handle that, right?
Yes, it was under the bookstore.
Gotcha.
We did acquire all the furniture and equipment for that area, so we're now just in the process of trying to find a provider.
We're gonna do it
Thank you.
ourselves.
So to follow up on sorry, thank you. So what's the plan with the bookstore?
What do you
I
mean?
mean,
Other books.
I mean,
For that space?
Yeah.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so I don't know if we can discuss
Yeah,
it,
well,
Mr.
I'm just
Mayor.
wondering, I mean, later on. Okay.
It's not, we can put it on the agenda for the December
Maybe
meeting?
just the finance, to figure out what the plan is.
Yes, sir. We'll bring it back for the next board meeting to discuss our plans for the bookstore and the coffee shop.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Mhm.
Chair recognizes Judge Martinez.
How do we stand on our reserves? Are we,
Yes, Judge, and I actually have an update for you. At the end of the presentation, I'll give you the update on the general operating fund balance and what the percentage is
okay,
compared to,
as you well know, that has a major impact on our ratings.
yes.
And we wanna make sure that we maintain at least a reasonable rating, when the time, if and when we should ever float a bond issue. That plays a major role, as you are very much aware.
Yes, and you'll see on the update, but one thing that we had been reporting is because of those liabilities that we had on our books,
Yes.
we were showing a fund, not a fund balance, but the percentage that the board had asked us or had passed to keep on reserve was below that threshold. You'll see that with this latest update that we're gonna show you, we're now met that requirement that the board has set for us. As far as the restricted funds for the month of September, this represents primarily the Pell funding, Pell grant funding that we received for the fall semester. We have $8,052,256, and again, the expenses total $8,052,256. Again, Pell for both tuition payments and also the amounts that go to the students for their additional, whether it be supplies or additional expenses. We also have, as part of the 8 million, the state grants, which is the TEOG grant. So again, right now, the majority of the revenue and expenses that you see on our financial report have to do with the student aid funding. Quick update on the facilities master plan as we enter the last couple of projects. Our balance is, as of September 30th, stands at $3,483,902. Again, all of that money is already encumbered. The projects that are currently under work right now should be completed early next year. We do have substantial completion and final completion for some of those projects in February and March. We don't have an update on the tax collections. Like I mentioned, those will come in until the month of October. You'll see them reflected in the financial for October. And as I mentioned, Judge, the update on the fund balance. Right now, we're still working on closing out the 2024 fiscal year. We are working with the auditors at this point. So we do have a couple of year-end closing entries that need to be posted to 2024. But preliminary, you are seeing there that as of August 31st, 2024, you have a $20.7 million fund balance. That is right now the preliminary starting number for fiscal year 2025 or balance. So we have a beginning balance of $20,733,641. We have the revenues for the month of September of 9,417,106. The expenses for the month totaled 6,965,878. So we currently have a net increase of 2.4 million. Not included right now on the 2024 entries or closing adjustments are the liability entries for the net pension and the other post-employment benefits, which are commonly known as GASB 68 and GASB 75. Also, we're also pending the transfer of the 30% that will be going into the deferred maintenance funds for the fiscal year for 2025. So again, right now, these are preliminary numbers. Final numbers should be ready in December. And at that point, as part of the audit that will be presented sometime in January, you'll see the final general operating fund balance. But again, as you see the history from 21, in 21, we had a negative 2.5 million in fund balance. We currently now, like I said, preliminary have about 28%. The resolution that was passed and approved by the board requires or requests that we have 20% in reserve. So currently we're at 28%. Again, we still have some adjusting entries that will reduce that fund balance, but we still will be over the 20% once those entries are made. Any questions on the report? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 8, the August 2024 Quarterly Investment Report and Fiscal FYE 2024 Annual Investment Report. Mr. Cesar Vela and Mr. Richard Long.
Yes, board members, you have a copy of the quarterly investment report in the financial report, and also included is the annual investment report. I believe Mr. Long was not able to join us, but we do have Ms. Jamie Hobbs from Valley View Consulting, and she will be providing the information for the August 31st, 2024 quarterly investment report. Ms. Hobbs?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman and Committee, for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you. Just to confirm, you guys have copies of the report in your packets, or would you like for me to share it?
If you could share them on the screen, Ms. Hobbs.
Okay, I can definitely do that. Okay, can y'all see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you again for allowing me to speak to you today. Again, my name is Jamie Hobbs. I'm with Valley View Consulting. We're the college's investment advisor. And so this is the report as of August 31st, 2024. As of the end of the month of August, you had $122,943,000 in investments. For those investments, you had a quarterly yield of 4.65%. The quarterly interest income was $1.537 million, bringing your year-to-date interest income to $5.9 million. Just a quick economic overview. This is as of August. I'll just kind of go through it as of September and beyond, because we've had quite a few things that have happened. In September, the Federal Open Markets Committee meeting met. They had their meeting in September, and they dropped the Fed funds range by 50 basis points, moving it to 4.75 and to 5% range. The expectation moving forward is that at the next two meetings here in 2024 in November and in December, that they will drop those rates by another 25 basis points each. That's what the market is currently anticipating. the things that they're doing, everything is going to be meeting by meeting, and it's going to be very data dependent. Their dual mandate is to keep inflation as near as they can to 2%, and then monitor and regulate employment and unemployment. So with the mandate of those two different things, they will be monitoring all of the different indicators that are currently out there, and they will be reviewing their decisions at each of the meetings on whether or not to continue to drop those rates at each meeting upcoming. Things that are affecting it right now, declining global economic outlook. We continue to have ongoing military conflicts across the globe, and then we do have our elections coming up next week. The elections are on Tuesday. The FOMC will meet on Wednesday and make their decision next week. So we'll continue to monitor that. What that will do as they continue to move rates down, the rates that we'll see for bank investments, CDs, money markets, things like that, we'll start to see that start to come down as well. So what we'll continue to do is try to place investments to lock in rates. We've started doing that. In looking at page 3, you can see the current investment holdings for the college. Everything above this first subtotal, those are what we would call your cash and cash equivalents. It's your bank accounts and then your local government investment pools. They're considered overnight rates because you can get to them pretty much immediately. Of those, you had $102.8 million in those cash and cash equivalents. What we started doing for the August quarter, we started taking some of those overnight funds and investing them out into CDs. What that will do is it will allow you to protect and be able to monitor the investment or the interest income that you'll have during the maturity time period of those CDs. If you'll look to the far right for the CDs, you'll see that the first 4 that we were able to pick up all exceeded 5.25% in yield. We were glad to be able to get those. As of now, we're starting to see those rates come down after the FOMC's actions, but we'll continue to lock in above Treasury rates where we can, and keep that hold on the interest income for as long as we can. Our goal with doing the laddering is to try to have the yield of the portfolio glide down as opposed to what we say is kind of falling off the cliff with the overnight rates, because as those come down, the overnight rates will follow very quickly what the FOMC actions do. In looking at just a graphical view of everything, as of August 31st, you had 16% in CDs. You had 84% of the portfolio in overnight funds. And you can see by maturity, again, those overnight funds is where the majority of everything is. We'll continue to ladder out investments to lock in those rates. And you can see August is one of your spending periods. You had $18 million in reduction between May and August, which is a pretty normal path as you wait for additional tax funds to come in starting October, November, December. In looking at page 5, this is a comparison of your book and market value. This is something that the Public Funds Investment Act requires that you present. With the funds and the investments that you currently have, everything will be equal. Book and market value will be equal. If and when the college starts to invest in securities, that's when we would see a difference for the market value, just taking into account those market value fluctuations. But again, what you'll see, a decrease in the Falcon Bank money market account for spending, and then also the purchases of the 4 new CDs for this quarter, for the grand total change of about 17.9 million, almost 18 million. The next page is a breakdown of the funds by your allocating funds, the different buckets that the funds go into. your current operating funds, restricted funds, construction funds, endowment funds, and you'll see how the total of the 122 million is broken down between each of those groupings. And we show that quarter over quarter, so this is as of August, and then the next page shows you where the balances were as of May. Are there any questions?
If I may,
Chair recognizes Judge Martinez.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on our liquidity that we basically have, how would you rate our rating as far as Moody's or Standard & Poor's is concerned?
That is not something that we actually do. That would be your financial advisor. They would be able to help you get your ratings. They kind of work on the side of getting you funds. We work on the side once you've actually received those funds. So I wouldn't be able to give you a rating because that's not really in our expertise. So I apologize that I'm not able to do that for you, but the financial advisors that you guys use and work with should be able to give you something for that.
But really, I would say that we're very, very liquid, I would say,
Yes.
based on your presentation. So financially, I think we are in relatively good financial statement. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir. Yes, you have a good balance in your funds. You are very liquid at this point. As we said, just to lock in some of those interest income numbers, we'll continue to try to put some of those into some investments with CDs and things, just so that you have interest income that you can budget for as you're moving forward with your budget cycles and things like that. But yes, overall, you do have a good liquidity standing right now, available for different actions and operating things that that the college district may need to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Any other questions from members of the committee?
No.
Thank you
Alright.
very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ms. Hobbs.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, approval of annual renewal for NEOED Human Resources Management System. Ms. Veronica Cardenas and Mr. Cesar Vela.
Good evening, Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration for the record. This next item, we're asking that the board approve the annual renewal for NEOED Human Resource Management System at a cost of $91,852.61. We have been using this system since 2019. This is the management system that is utilized by the HR office to do their applicant tracking, or also known as their onboarding. We also utilize this system to do our performance evaluations. There is also a learning management system embedded within this module, and that is used for training and professional development, online training and professional development. And we've also integrated the e-forms management. So essentially, this system has allowed the HR office to move away from paper and basically now streamline the applicant processing, the evaluations, and like I mentioned, all those internal forms that are utilized for approvals to be done now electronically through this system. The renewal will run from October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. And the amount is included in the 2025 general operating budget.
Any questions from members of the committee?
No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vela. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, approval of agreement with Timely Telehealth LLC for unlimited on-demand emotional support and crisis management access for Laredo College students. Dr. Fred Solis and Mr. Cesar Vela.
Yes, board members, we are asking for approval for a 3-year agreement with Timely Telehealth LLC, and this would be for the unlimited on-demand emotional support and crisis management access for Laredo College students. The annual cost is a fixed amount of $75,000, and this is annually, and it will be fixed for the 3-year term. The services include a 24/7 on-demand emotional support crisis management access for our students. And also, it also includes 425 sessions for counseling visits. Again, the purchase of this service is being done through the Educational and Institutional Cooperative Services, also known as ENI. The RFP number is EI00215-2023. And again, this is for mental telehealth services. Again, this is to request approval that we award a 3-year agreement to Timely Telehealth LLC.
Any questions from members of the committee?
Very good, no, that's good, I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vela. Thank you, Dr. Solis. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 11, approval of campus network switch upgrades. Mr. Albert Chavez.
Good evening, members of the Finance and Audit Committee. Albert Chavez, Associate VP for Information Technology. For this particular item, we're requesting approval for the purchase of equipment to refresh our campus network switching equipment. The equipment and installation services will be procured through the vendor Computer Solutions using a DIR contract, DIR TSO 4167. The total cost for the equipment and installation services is $266,025 with 0 cents. And basically, the equipment that's being procured through this are the network switches that go in the buildings. Our department has identified equipment that's going to be end of life, end of support pretty soon. In this order, there is a total of 35 network switches, and the buildings that are receiving new equipment is the Atkins Building, P24, Lewis Energy Building, Visual and Performing Arts, and the Martinez Fine Arts Building. Again, the total amount is $266,025, and this expense is currently allocated in the Information Technology Department FY25 budget as part of the approved equipment purchases.
How many buildings are not included in this purchase?
Quite a bit.
Who, in total? You got me there. I'm trying to remember do the math. This is in this campus. This is not half of the buildings.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more than these. I need to
So
pull up.
a number that's yet to be
I can pull up the map and count them, but I don't remember the count off of the top of my head.
Well, I guess my next question would be is when are we gonna start, when will the switches that we currently have in those buildings that are not being discussed today, when will they?
Those would be coming up in the next fiscal year,
Okay.
because basically they were not all bought at the same time, so they have a different lifetime. So basically, the equipment from Cisco, they have what is called end of life, is when they stop selling the equipment, and then they have support when you cannot renew the warranty on them. So these are the ones that have been identified, and overall, the main and the south campus that need attention.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions from members of the committee?
No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chavez. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 12, approval of campus wireless access point refresh. Mr. Albert Chavez.
Good evening, members of the Finance and Audit Committee. Similar to the previous item, requesting approval to purchase wireless access points to refresh equipment at the campus that's near end of life and end of support. For this particular item, we're requesting to purchase the equipment and services for the installation through the vendor Computer Solutions using a DIR contract TSO 4167. Total cost for the equipment installation is $196,286. And basically, same situation, our department has identified any wireless access points that are near end of life and end of support. There's a total of 146 indoor and outdoor units that need to be replaced as part of this refresh. Again, the amount is $196,286, and the funds are currently allocated in the Information Technology Department fiscal year 25 budget as part of the approved equipment purchases for this fiscal year.
Any questions from members of the committee?
No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chavez. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 13, approval of annual Cisco Smart Net renewal. Mr. Chavez.
Good evening, members of the Finance and Audit Committee. For this particular item, we're requesting approval for the annual Cisco SmartNet renewal. The service will be procured through the vendor Computer Solutions using a DIR contract, DIR CPO 4167. The cost for this renewal is $70,855. The SmartNet is basically a support services contract for the Cisco equipment. And this allows us to get device support, access to firmware updates for the Cisco networking equipment. In the prior year, FY24, our cost was $47,144. Cost went up because we had purchased additional equipment that needed to be added into the support agreement. The funding for this item, the $70,855, is part of the IT Department Information Technology budget for FY25.
Thank you very much. Any questions from members of the committee?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Move on to agenda item number 14, approval of Computer Solutions Annual NetWatch Managed Services Agreement. Mr. Chavez?
Members of the Finance and Audit Committee, for this particular item, we're requesting approval to renew an agreement that we have with the vendor Computer Solutions for their service called NetWatch Managed Services Agreement. This service will be procured through the vendor Computer Solutions using a DIR contract, DIR CPO 5430. The total cost for the 1-year renewal is $77,464 with 80 cents. The NetWatch Managed Services Agreement provides monitoring and management of critical infrastructure components of the campus IT infrastructure. This is a renewal again through this vendor that we've had for several years. In the prior fiscal year, the total cost for the renewal was $61,992. For this year, they had an increase in their cost for services, and we also had an increase in the amount of devices that they're monitoring.
Any questions from members of the committee? Thank you, Mr. Chavez. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 15, approval of Lamar Bruni Vergara Environmental Center Science Center Network Infrastructure Upgrades. Mr. Chavez?
Members of the Finance and Audit Committee, for this particular item, we're requesting approval for the Lamar Bruni Vergara Environmental Science Center Network Infrastructure Upgrades in the amount of $167,840. The equipment and installation services for this project will be procured through the vendor Computer Solutions using a TIPS contract, TIPS 230105. And for this item, basically, right now, the Lamar Bruni Vergara Science Center is currently undergoing renovation. As part of this project, it's been determined that the cabling infrastructure for the existing buildings and the buildings that have been added needs to be redone. So this basically will include all the cabling, the data jacks for the offices and the facilities. It will also include the networking equipment, the switches, a surveillance system package, so cameras for the facilities, and the facility manager also requested some digital signage for the facility. Again, this proposal is for installing the new communications cabling for the facility, and is going to uplink this facility to the Lewis Energy Building, which is the nearest distribution hub for that area.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Any questions from members of the committee? All right. Agenda item number 16, we stand adjourned. It is approximately 6:29 p.m. Thank you, everybody. This will conclude the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. Judge, all yours.
Thank you very much. I shall start call the meeting to order for the Building Committee meeting. At this time, I like to acknowledge the presence of members of the board, Ms. Lupita Cepeda, Mr. Jorge J.D. Delgado, and Mr. Esteban Rangel, actually being present at this time. So we have items 1 and 2 acknowledging. Item number 3 is the approval for the procurement process approval for deferred maintenance construction projects. Again, I'd like to call on Mr. Cesar Vela.
Good evening, board members. Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration for the record. This first item is to request that the board approve the competitive seal proposal procurement method as a method that provides the best value to the college for the following deferred maintenance construction projects. The LC Veterans Center project and the demolition of the West Annex building and building P7 and 8. Currently, the architect is finalizing the drawings and the scope of work for these projects. We should have all those documents ready by the end of the week, and we are asking the board to approve the competitive seal proposal method so that we can go ahead and go out for proposals. Again, this request is being done to comply with board policy CM legal and also with the government code chapter 2269. Again, this is for the LC Veterans Center project and the demolition of the West Annex building and building P7 and 8. Any questions?
Bless you.
Okay, Chair recognizes,
Mr. Vela, we don't have a budget for this currently, right? Of how much we plan on spending or depending on the bids that come in?
Yes, sir. Actually, we do have budgets for both projects. Currently, for the Veteran Center, we have allocated 1.4 million, and that is coming through the allocation that was provided by Congressman Cuellar. And then for the demolition of P7 and 8 and the annex building, I believe we have estimated or we have set aside about 200,000. Again, that's just an estimate. Once we get the proposals in, we should know. Keep in mind that the reason that the cost is high is that there is going to be some abatement that needs to be done in these buildings. There was some asbestos that was identified. So before we can proceed with that process, they have to do the abatement first.
So you plan on sending out this information for the public by the end of this week?
Next week, sir.
Oh, next week?
Yes, so we're getting the finalized documents, and then we'll go ahead and post on the local newspaper, on our website, and on the state website for contractors to submit their proposals. This process will take approximately, we'll have the process open for about 2 weeks. And then after that, about a week for them to submit the proposals, and then we'll go ahead and evaluate them and bring them back to the board for approval.
Can you remind us who is the architect for this one?
So the architect for both projects is Mr. Cavazos and Associates.
Thank you, Judge.
thank you, Mr. Rangel. Next item is item number 4, and that is the approval for the replacement of Maravillo Gym boilers. Boiler, excuse me. Again, Mr. Vela?
Yes, board members, this next item is to request approval for a contract with Taken in the amount of $383,811.11, and this is to replace the boilers at the Maravillo Gym. Currently, the Maravillo Gym is without hot water and a heater. So the equipment that we have in that facility dates back to the 70s. This is, again, the reason the cost is high is that we're not talking about your residential boilers. We're talking about commercial grade boilers. We also are having to replace the storage tank that's located in that facility. So it includes the storage tank, a brand new storage tank, and all the components that are tied to the HVAC system. So we're talking about the controls, the sensors, and the programming for the heating element for the HVAC system. And again, this will also address the water for the showers. There is included in the 383,000. They will have to do an asbestos study. I believe that they have identified that there is potential asbestos in that So we are also including an allowance of 50,000 in case that we do have to do an abatement. Right now, the contractor estimates that if they do need to do an abatement, it'll be around 20 to 30,000
Additional.
addition to the 383,000. So right now, we're asking for the approval of the 383,000. Once the study is completed, if it comes back that there is asbestos, then we'll bring that item back to the board for approval.
Obviously, that equipment goes back to the time when that particular building was originally built.
That
more
is
likely.
correct, Judge. What I'm being
That's a
told
long
is
time
it's
ago.
back from the 70s. So the likelihood that there is asbestos in that facility is going to be high.
Any observation or comments on any of these? Chair recognizes Dr. Ramirez.
That includes, sir, and we're also looking at the water lines under the building, because it is our understanding that those are still clay water lines. And so, that were original to the building. So we may have to look for other resources to try to fix all of that.
More than likely. It's going
and
to require
so-
quite a bit more investment.
And as
the
you-
actual
As you know, all of these things
Replacement.
are related to the president's, the United States President's request that within the next 10 years, all water line infrastructures be replaced. And as part of the water infrastructure issues that we recently experienced within the city, we're hoping to try to leverage some of that to try to get some support for replacing all of the water lines, because that's not the only place. So we've got some foundational issues that relate to the Maravillo Gym, but could relate to other parts of the campus. So,
Chair recognizes Mr. Rangel.
Thank you, Judge. Just really quick, Mr. Vela, how much do we have on the deferred maintenance account
Yes.
for this budget year?
So for the year, we're gonna be adding 3.4 million into the deferred maintenance. So that's 30% of the 15 million that are currently in the savings for the 2024 fiscal year.
So we're gonna get it from there.
Yes, sir. So
That's what you're adding, sorry.
yes,
Aye.
we're adding 3.4, and then the projects that we're presenting right now, which is the boilers, will come out of the 3.4, and the amounts that are needed for the demolition of those two buildings will also come out from the
From there.
3.4.
Okay,
Yeah, the only one that does not come from the deferred maintenance is
Yeah.
the Veteran Center.
yes.
wow.
And more than likely, it's obvious that we might have to dip into the reserves.
Yes, sir.
Yes, no ifs or buts about it.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Just thinking of the buildings that were all built within that time.
that's right. Very
I
true.
mean, these over here, and this one, I
Mhm.
mean,
Too many.
Oh.
that's a lot of buildings.
Too
Even
many.
But it's the Cigarroa, yeah, that was built way before.
Well, the Cigarroa was addressed when we did the renovation, so,
So that's okay.
yes, so that one,
But I'm just
we,
thinking of these, the Memorial Hall and
Yes,
right over here, and then the Martin Building,
that's another one. too.
that's another one.
So
That's-
we're dealing with
Yeah.
actually buildings that were built
What's the name of this one over
yes.
a
here?
good
Atkins.
50
The
years
Atkins
ago.
building?
Yeah,
pretty much
the
so.
Atkins,
Or the Moore
and
Building?
the Martin Building,
Martin Building too.
all of those were built about the same time.
So we'll bring that back in a couple of months for, once we start the master plan process,
Yeah.
and that's not on the agenda, we'll bring back some plans.
You've got to work
Some-
it out.
Yeah, we've got
Yes,
that.
sir.
That's right.
We do.
Yeah.
I inherited all this, yes.
Thank you.
To be honest about it, we're very fortunate that we are fairly liquid, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Uh-huh.
And that was gonna require quite a bit of major,
Money's, I mean,
money
reno-
for the replacement of all of that,
all that fiber.
old pipelines, that obviously we have no other option and we have no other choice, but it has to be done. So, okay. Ni modo. Okay, any other observation?
No, sir.
None? We go into item number 6, and that is the approval for the Lerma Peña Building.
Number 5,
Item number 5.
Another roof.
Excuse me, I stand corrected. Approval of the Lerma Peña building roof restoration. Again, we have Mr. Vela as well as probably Mr. Pais also.
Yes, board members, this next item is to request the approval for the restoration of the Lerma Peña building roof. The amount needed for the repairs and restoration is $668,850. And the contractor will be, or the recommended contractor is American Contracting and Roofing. And the project is being procured through a TIPS purchasing cooperative contract. The total square footage of the work or the roof is approximately 19,700 square feet. And again, the product that will be utilized is the Karnak product, which is the roofing product that we've used for the other buildings that we have here at, on campus and at the South Campus. The warranty is a 20-year warranty on the product, and there is a 2-year warranty on the contractor's work. Again, the warranty on the product with the 20-year covers any defects from the product, and if there are any defects, then the contract it would also cover the labor. Again, but the work for the contractor is a 2-year warranty on anything that may go wrong within the first 2 years. There is a contingency amount that we've set aside as part of the $668,000, and that's a contingency amount of $29,555. Again, this is based and will only be used with college approval in case of any items, unforeseen items come up during the work. And this project is also being funded through the Deferred Maintenance Fund. Any questions?
Any comments or observations or questions that we might have?
No, sir.
None? None?
Those flat roofs, just,
Yes.
and what do you do?
We have no other option, unfortunately. Item number 6, and that is the update on the sale of 1620 Clark property. Chair recognizes Mr. Vela. Before your comments are made, let me make this observation. Since I go by there very often in front of the old J.C. Martin home, the front of that particular building right now, the two of the major trees are about dry.
Wow.
They're frankly the yard is really in bad shape, so to speak. And I'm sure inside the house, based on the memory that I have of that particular building, the manner in which it was redone by Mr. Santos was really, I would say, whoever would be interested in submitting a bid, obviously is going to be facing a major reconstruction on that particular building. That's the way I see it. But anyway, we will see what other options. A plus about that particular site is that that property is a full half a block of that property. Okay, it goes from Clark all the way to the other street going north. So, in a manner of speaking, they will be buying quite a bit of property, so to speak. But it will also be facing major reconstruction in the rebuilding of that particular facility or that particular home. Mr. Vela, you want to make additional comments, sir?
Yes, just an update on the sale. We went ahead and posted the public notice on the local newspaper. It's also being published on our website and on the state website. The publication for the Laredo Morning Times went out on October 13, and it was also published on the 20th and the 27th. As of today, we have not received any bids. The bids deadline is November 7th, which is next Thursday, 3 o'clock. And as you mentioned, Judge, right now the property is, or the request is, property is listed as is. The minimum bid being that we have on the requirement is $500,000. Again, the next step would be to see if we have any bids or proposals that are submitted. Once those are submitted, then they will be brought back to the board for consideration.
May I, Judge?
Any comments from any member of the board?
No,
Chair recognizes Dr. Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What we're hoping is that a bid comes in, and hopefully we'll be able to maximize the funding from that sale of the house to help support some of the initiatives that we have to fulfill on both of our campus with the physical work that is going on. As we just spoke about, we have some incredible issues that we're gonna have to tackle here in the next year or two. And so funding that is really gonna come from other resources, and we're hoping to be able to maximize that house. One of the things to point out is that it is a prime location. It is on a major boulevard of this community, and whether it is refurbished or knocked down, whoever buys it is gonna maximize the location for sure. And so it is prime property, and so we know that, and we're hoping that a potential buyer will see that as well. And the conditions that we inherited that in, it was a gift, and the idea was for the college to be able to maximize from this gift long term. And so we are here now following state procedure in trying to sell the property the way we've been asked to by the state, which is by sealed bids. And so hopefully someone in the community or outside of our community who's listening may be interested. We'll be happy to show the facility, but the sale is as is.
Thank you.
Any other observation or comments from
No, sir.
any member of the board or
Maybe you can we water the trees?
Chair recognizes Ms. Villa?
Maybe water the trees and the grass at least in the front? Can we? Or have we been?
We've been
Yeah,
sending the
just
gardeners.
Yeah, we'll work on that, yes.
I mean, just to kind of keep it.
But are we restricted from watering?
Once a week, ma'am. We're still under restriction.
We're still restricted.
Once a week. My
You
grass
are
is done.
still? Yes.
Any other observation, comments? None? I'd like to hear a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Ayo.
All right,
Sorry.
we have a motion, we have a second. We stand adjourned. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.